Ladies and gentlemen, according to the logic of impeachment, which President Trump will be acquitted of very soon, Trump's words, his mere words, are directly responsible, and he holds all the blame for what took place. Okay. From the early 2000s until today, how many lives have been lost in this country and in other countries from Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's foreign policy, from the Lincoln Project advocacy of failed interventions, regime changes, and quagmires, and counterinsurgency conflicts that if you read General Daniel Bulger in his book, Why We Lost, if you read that book, he states the United States military, no superpower, is made to, is capable of engaging in a counterinsurgency conflict for a long term. We've had these never-ending quagmires, and it's because of people like the Lincoln Project. Are they directly responsible? That's a question. Are they legally and morally and direct? Well, morally, yes, we know. But are they directly responsible in a legal sense for all the lives lost and all the suffering and the sorrow and the chaos and the mayhem and the failed states that have resulted? Is President Obama legally responsible for what took place in Libya after his failed NATO intervention that caused untold suffering there? Now you have the Lincoln Project, whose founders have more skeletons than a graveyard. A Lincoln Project co-founder resigns amid scandal. Jennifer Horn, this is a Washington Examiner article, Jennifer Horn, who helped co-found the anti-Trump Lincoln Project, resigned amid reports that another co-founders, so I'm not even going to talk about the scandal, because they've admitted to it. Well, I mean, I'm not talking about it because of YouTube policies. Trump has never admitted to all the absurd allegations, or the allegations, I should say, leveled against him. Okay? They obsessed over a hot mic and ignored exactly what that hot mic said that's leveled against Biden in a criminal report. The left has zero moral compass. It spins like this, it just spins around to wherever to the place that they find most, they derive most political utility from. But they don't believe when it's Biden. They definitely believe anything said against Kavanaugh and Trump. The difference, however, is that Trump never had the skeletons in his closet. He was a public persona for decades. Suddenly, when he became president, he was this and that, and he was a horrible human being and a monster and an orange menace. The Lincoln Project has spent the past, hit subscribe to this channel right now, because I'm going to give you exactly why the Democratic Party utilized the Lincoln Project and is now kicking them to the curb. Just like I said they would eventually. Because these are political operatives that slither to anyone that needs them for that moment. And you still have some Lincoln Project people writing for liberal publications, by the way, which is interesting. But they spent the Lincoln Project neoconservative mentality, or the writers or the political operatives, are the reason, one of the main reasons, in addition to the day the Democratic Party sued Russia, President Trump, that's the day I said, that's it. I'm supporting President Trump. This is lunacy. But one of the biggest reasons is that the Lincoln Project was in the Democratic Party, and I said, wait a second, I'm not going to support. I'm not even going to be on the same political side as any any political party that hires former Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people. Because if you say Trump is responsible because of a speech, they're responsible for the lives lost in the chaos in countries around the world and this country. But they have a scandal now that is worse than anything leveled against Trump, because they've admitted to, not only have they admitted to this, it's horrendous. And it's based on the disgusting and criminal behavior, potentially, I should say alleged criminal behavior of one of its co-founders. That organization has now been utterly defeated by President Trump. Just like anybody who goes after Trump, whether it's Michael Cohen or Avenatti or, there's a list of people, Juicy Smollett, there's a list of people who've gone after Trump, said, this, horrible, and then it just didn't work out for them. Because contempt for somebody will do you in. If you devote your life only to spewing disdain and contempt, everything negative comes back to you. So that's why, I never cared about what people said. Well, I never obsessed, I should say, about others. But if anybody tried to, unfairly attack me, then I defended myself. And it wasn't good for that type of person. But I'm talking about through words. But Lincoln Project offers searing response. So this is hilarious. Who cares about their searing response? They still have a tremendous public relations foothold within within mainstream media. But here at Fox News, Lincoln Project rips co-founder Jennifer Horn after she announced resignation amid John Weaver scandal. So anti-Trump group alleges ex-New Hampshire GOP chair demanded $250,000 signing bonus TV show and seat on board. So this is hilarious. They're now going after each other because of a horrendous scandal of one of their co-founders. And it's like they were supposed to be the moral voice. See, what Democrats do is they'll say, whenever they have a topic they don't like or somebody they don't like, 500 scientists claim this person is a maniac, or 500 psychoanalysts or psychiatrists. We've interviewed 7,000 psychiatrists, and they say Trump is a sociopathic orange monster. We've interviewed 7,000 of them, and we have all their names. So therefore he is. Their whole thing is every argument they have is full of hyperbole and an appeal to authority. So Trump is a despot, he's a tyrant, he worked with Russia. None of this is true. It's either all subjective opinion or categorically false. It is categorically false. Trump did not work with Russia. That is true. It is false to say he did. Okay, but see, they won't rate that. They'll be like, well, that's half true. There was contacts, and so whereas he didn't work with Russia, we rate that misleading because the Mueller report found there were contacts, inappropriate contacts. Who the cares about that? Nobody was indicted for working alongside Russia. The spin, facts used to matter. Truth used to matter. When they obsessed over Trump's alleged lies or his hyperbole or his lies, and they ignored President Obama's hyperbolic statements and overt lies, that was the post-truth moment. Their only public relations spin. That's why these fact-checking, and I've been saying this, the same thing I've been saying. Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, anyone who looks at the fact-checking organizations realize they are fact-checking sentiment. And the sentiment, the American political discourse runs through the lenses, oftentimes, of apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical, fanatical, morally superior, wonderful liberal Democrats. Everything runs through that vantage point. So, in their warped mentality, these are the good climate change. they just care about the climate, and they're good liberal Democrats, and they're wonderful people. And if you say I voted for President Trump because he was ending military interventions and regime changes and counterinsurgency conflicts, and he was reversing U.S. foreign policy, he was the first president to step foot in North Korea, begin détente between North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in wants Biden to continue President Trump's foreign policy. Netanyahu in Israel wants Biden to continue Trump's foreign policy with the Abraham Accords. You have two world leaders wanting Trump to continue the accomplishments in the Trump years. There were no accomplishments in the Bush years. Name one lasting legacy, one foreign policy accomplishment with George W. Bush. Nothing. He was the worst president of all time. And now you had the Lincoln Project people. Name one accomplishment from President Obama, Libya. But you had the Lincoln Project people that they were retweeted. And they were on MSNBC and CNN. They were writing for the Daily Beast, and they were all around. And now they have all their skeletons coming out. They were never vetted, ever, never. Or maybe they were, and the skeletons were just kept, deep in the ground, and then they just were popped out because what? They're not needed anymore. The last thing Biden needs now is Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans. They know this. They got people, the good liberals, to retweet Lincoln Project nonsense. Because in the minds of liberals, all Republicans are the same. There are no never Trumpers. So, again, the only arguments most Democrats have are appeals to authority. Well, the Lincoln Project, former Republicans, and they're going after Trump. Former Republicans don't like Trump. I mean, even Mitt Romney doesn't like Trump. Well, it's completely irrelevant whether former Republicans dislike Trump. He took over the Republican Party. They tried to prevent that takeover. It didn't work. Two-thirds of the GOP would actually go with Trump if he started a new political party. So, but anyway, my ladies and gentlemen, President Trump completely obliterated, pummeled, annihilated the Lincoln Project people. Jeb Bush was his the first bowling pin he just politically dealt with. And then he just left them then he didn't even do anything to the Lincoln Project people. And you see, I don't want to go through Lincoln Project people, but you could see each of them have major skeletons, major issues and problems. One of them went after a triple amputee Vietnam veteran and hero, Senator Max Cleland, for opposing the really destructive and, horrendous Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld foreign policy. They questioned his patriotism. They tried to paint him as disloyal. This is a man who is a triple amputee, a Vietnam veteran. And that's what they do. That's what the Lincoln Project does. And so Trump just utterly defeated them. He just utterly defeated them, ladies and gentlemen. He utterly defeated the Lincoln Project. And he's not even there anymore. Trump isn't even there. And it's just like Medusa. They're left to look into this mirror and, oh my God, they turn into stone. There were missteps. President Trump should never have insulted LeBron James. He should never have insulted NFL athletes. He should never have utilized Twitter in the manner that he did during his presidency, and especially at the end of his presidency, because he needed to create a national discourse and dialogue. He had the political influence at that point. Yes, they were after him. They set him up and framed him. And with the Republican Party, they set him up and framed him. So anyone who told you to trust Jeff Sessions was in on the whole scheme. That absurd message board I said was a complete and utter hoax. And it was dangerous. And I told you that 2 years ago. I said, I haven't had a Twitter account for 2 years. I haven't had a Facebook account for over 2 years. A Twitter account for over 2 years, actually. Yeah, over 2 years. And I told everyone message boards are dangerous 2 years ago. Watch my debate on hagoodman.com. But they they were the Republicans who were the good Republicans. They represented the good people. They're the good Republicans. And they tried to warn everyone about Trump. And they were going up against Trump. And they were and they're the immoral ones. They're the ones allegedly engaged in not only criminal activity, but disgusting activity, alleged to have committed, that I can't talk about. They're the ones, you better believe, that have more skeletons in their closet than you could ever imagine. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. One of President Trump's adversaries, I would say one of his main adversaries, but the Lincoln Project I never took them seriously because they were former Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld people, and I saw the act. They were just there so Democrats could utilize them. They probably made a ton of money. I'm sure they did. But at the end of the day now, they're no longer politically viable or influential in American politics anymore. It didn't take long. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Trump